Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Thank you for your great support which you have given for our previous video, which was an appeal on Ethiopian persecution, which we have done in collaboration with Russian Orthodox Church. Today we are here with the second part of the same, a chat session with a renowned scholar in Orthodox theology and who is having a bag full of experience from Ethiopia. Principal of St. Thomas Orthodox Theological Seminary, Reverend Fr Dr Jossi Jacob. Welcome, Reverend Father.
Thank you.
Father, would you brief your life and your experience in Ethiopia?
Of course, it's a good question which takes me back to the nostalgic memories of my life in Ethiopia. I was sent by the Nagpur Orthodox Church to teach theology at the Holy Trinity Theological College of the Ethiopian Orthodox Varghese Church in 2003. And I have joined the faculty on 7th of November 2003, and I worked there for 16 years and then came back to the Nagpur Orthodox Church, to the service of the Nagpur Orthodox Church in 2019. That means I have spent a considerably long period of time in human life. 16 years of my life was spent in Ethiopia. Had a very great experience as a whole, and then with a lot of interactions with different people from different walks of life and different cultural backgrounds. And I could expose myself to the Ethiopian culture, and knowing a new culture and interacting with them, learning a lot of things, especially in theological understanding, which enriched my theological understanding, also happened when I was in Ethiopia. And not only teaching, I would say that I was rather more a student than a teacher in Ethiopia, because Ethiopian theological tradition has its beauty and depth. Ethiopian Orthodox theological tradition is not very much known to the world outside Ethiopia, because majority or a vast majority of the works are not translated from any of the Ethiopian languages. That means neither translated into English or any European language or to any other language in the world other than the Ethiopian languages. Most of the literature were written in Varghese language, which is no more a functional language since the 12th century. But many of the Ethiopian languages are derived from the Varghese language, and the culture itself is called the Varghese culture, especially the culture of the northern Ethiopia, that is to be specified, especially the culture of the northern Ethiopia. And then the Ethiopian theological tradition has a huge collection of biblical commentaries and commentaries on the liturgical texts and many other books and hymns and hagiographies, and it is so much a rich tradition. Then interaction with this tradition and interaction with the people whom are very well versed and whom are great scholars of this tradition enlightened me and illuminated me with the different understandings, especially of Eastern theological perspectives, different perspectives in Eastern theology. And it was a great experience for me. And then Addis Ababa used to function as a hub of theological scholars coming from different parts of the world. Then we used to have a lot of conferences, seminars and so on. And then many of the scholars whom were more interested in Ethiopian studies used to come to Addis Ababa until recently. And then due to some political issues and the crisis which is going on, ongoing crisis, now nobody is able to come because of this pandemic and some other unrest happening in the country. Anyway, Addis Ababa used to be a very good platform for theological interactions from different traditions, people from different traditions in the church. And moreover, Ethiopian monastic tradition, which is considered to be the backbone of the whole of Ethiopian ecclesial life, Ethiopian way of life, Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and its theological enrichment, Ethiopian monasticism is something which is amazing and something which is still holding and expressing a kind of extremely original, charismatic nature of itself, and it is very much free from the legalistic approaches of many other monastic traditions. And then Ethiopian monasticism has its own peculiar nature of following the ascetical tradition and then doing things and then contributing to the church and the church life. So my experiences, I don't think that I can explain it in few words time. It is too long a time. It was a wonderful period of time, and had a lot of experiences with the hierarchs of the church, experiences with the theological scholars, experiences with the scholars in Ethiopian theological tradition in different areas, experiences with my students, experiences with different people from different walks of life, and experiences with international scholars who are interested in Ethiopian studies and in Ethiopian theology, and experiences with the experts and the professors of cultural studies, Ethiopian studies, and anthropology, and many other departments, especially in the department in the general area of humanities in Addis Ababa University and in many other universities in Ethiopia. And I don't think that I can explain everything in a short span of time. Thank you anyway. Thank you for asking me that question.
Can you give a critical overview on ongoing issues in Ethiopia?
At present, the whole nation of Ethiopia is facing a serious problem. The largest ethnic group in Ethiopia is called Oromo. The Oromo people are very friendly and very good in dealing with the other people of other ethnicities and people from other nationalities and people from other countries. But recently, certain people of Oromo or certain extremists in Oromo group began to make troubles to the whole nation and began to make troubles to the people of other ethnicities. And I don't think that they really represent the whole of Oromo population. But of course, in every community, there could be some extremists, and they claim to represent the whole community, but I don't really personally believe that the whole Oromo community is behind them, or the whole Oromo community attests what they do, and they don't accept their brutalities and the problems which they are causing. But these extremist people are trying to make a division in the whole of Ethiopia, in the nation of Ethiopia, and they try to oppose the Orthodox Church of Ethiopia in many ways. These extremists in Oromo group attacked the Orthodox churches and killed a lot of priests and faithful of the Orthodox, Ethiopian Orthodox Theological Church, and they tried to oppress, or they tried to attack people of different ethnicities like Amhara, Tigray, and all the other people of the Ethiopian nationalities and Ethiopian ethnicities. The Oromo extremists are demanding for a separate Oromo state with total independence. And then they argue that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is also playing a crucial role in the formation of Ethiopia, or in keeping Ethiopia as a single nation, and they don't want to accept Ethiopian Orthodox Church as the most important religion or the most important ecclesial community in the nation, the whole nation of Ethiopia. The reason behind, as far as I understand, is that in 1991, the EPERDF government came into power. And then for 2 years they functioned as a transit government, and after 2 years they got elected to be the full-fledged government of the nation of Ethiopia. They adopted a policy of ethnic federalism. That means they established a federal government of the whole of Ethiopia, and at the same time they allowed ethnic groups to organize states, or they organize regional states based on the ethnicities. That means the largest state in Ethiopia, regional state in Ethiopia, is the Oromo regional state, then Amhara regional state, Tigray regional state, and there are many other regional states, and all these regional states are divided and organized based on the ethnicities of the people mostly dwelling in that area. So it was with good intention that they brought this ethnic federalism, so that all the cultures can be properly nurtured and then preserved, and then cultural diversity of Ethiopia itself is the strength of the nation, and they tried to organize Ethiopia with one feeling of a nation, and allowing the cultures to successfully coexist in the single platform of the federal government and the single platform of the nation of Ethiopia. But unfortunately, and in certain cultures or certain ethnic groups, certain ethnic extremists began to emerge, and they began to mislead people, and they began to claim representing that ethnicities. And I would say that it is quite a misrepresentation, or it's only a self-assumed representation which cannot be considered as the representation of any ethnic groups. That is what happened in Oromo group also, and that ended up in a serious turmoil which is going on in Ethiopian, in the nation of Ethiopia. After 1991, the Ethiopian federalism, after the Ethiopian federalism was established, among the Oromo ethnic group, or the people whom are having the Oromo ethnicity, there emerged you could notice an eventual emergence and development of an Oromo consciousness. That means Oromo culture was revamped and it was re-strengthened, and then Oromo religion was revived, and all those things are good actually. We cannot blame them for doing all these things. But based on that, the Oromo politics began to acquire quite a different line, which is not really supporting the nationalistic interest of the whole of Ethiopia and Ethiopian community. I'm not blaming the Oromo people. I told earlier that I'm not blaming the Oromo people. They are very good, but certain extremists like Oromo Liberation Front, OLF, and then certain other extremist group began to emerge in Oromo group and Oromo ethnic group, and they began to misrepresent, and they began to make many troubles to the whole nation. They began to challenge the integrity of the nation, claiming to represent the Oromo people. And that situation continued, and it was controlled by the government. But in 2018 onwards, the Oromo struggles became more a serious issue. I think it was 2017 onwards. I'm not quite sure about the year.
From
2017 onwards, the Oromo issue became a hot issue in Ethiopian society. The certain extremists among the Oromo group began to make unrest, organizing unrest and protests against the existing government, and then there happened a change of the government, and then the current government headed by Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, came into power. And then Dr. Abiy Ahmed, being a very good Christian, tried to bring peace in the country by bringing all people together, the Oromos and other ethnicities. But unfortunately, the people whom were not in the country, who were not allowed to enter into the country due to their activities against the country's integrity, were allowed to bring, to be back. They were brought back up. They were allowed to come back to Ethiopia, and then they were given freedom to organize political issues or organize political parties and to involve in politics. Certain people belonging to that group, including the OLF, Oromo Liberation Front, which was listed as an extremist group during the period of the EPRDF government, came back, and then certain others, some were working as journalists in America, like Jawar Muhammad, came to Ethiopia, and then they together introduced new ideas into the Oromo community and Oromo consciousness, and then they are demanding for a new nation, an Oromo state with full independence. Then that is a political thing. On the other hand side, when we look at this issue from the perspective of Ethiopian Orthodox Theological Church, which is the largest Christian community in Ethiopia and the largest religious organization in Ethiopia, which used to be a state church until 1974, the issue is having a different dimension. The leaders of this unrest, the Oromo extremists, are giving a wrong impression or continuously propagating wrong ideas that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is not a church which is really belonging to the Oromo people. But they claim that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is a church of the Highlanders, the so-called Highlanders, whom are the ethnicities like Amaras, Tigray, and all these ethnic groups which are following the basic Ge'ez culture or using the language which has been derived from the Ge'ez language, which is the official original liturgical language of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. But it is a wrong notion that they are trying to impart into the church. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church always throughout the history tried to incorporate, tried to include all the ethnic groups in Ethiopia, and they tried to expand their boundaries even outside Ethiopia too. And that always remained as the most authentic African indigenous church for many centuries, and more than centuries, for 2 millennia, I would say. So, considering the very mission and identity of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, nobody can say that it is not including, or it is one ethnic group is not belonging to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. As the name indicates, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, it's open for, and it includes all ethnic groups in Ethiopia. And then people from all ethnic groups are members of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church of Ethiopia without any exemption. And Ethiopian Orthodox Church is not but limited to a particular ethnicity within the country, and it is a national church with the right spirit of being a national Orthodox church, and it is all-inclusive as far as the whole Ethiopia is concerned. And then it is a wrong notion, and it is a wrong idea certain people try to induce into the mindset of the Oromo people, Oromo population, that Ethiopian Orthodox Church is an alien church to them, and they are not really belonging to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. That is a propaganda made by the people who assumed a kind of misrepresentation of the Oromo community, and then that is quite a dangerous trend which is going on in Ethiopia, and that itself is causing troubles to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. And then many of the church buildings are destroyed, and many priests have been assassinated, many of the believers are assassinated, and many of them were forced to dislocate from where they used to stay for many generations, and then it brought a serious problem into the whole rhythm of the life of the Ethiopians, the whole of Ethiopians, whom are really peace lovers and very good people, whom are holding respect to other religions and culture. So these extremists are really making troubles in the name of Oromo ethnic, or people of Oromo ethnicity, and we have to understand that it is not the people of Oromo ethnicity who makes all these troubles, but it is the radicals, the extremists of the Oromo community whom are making troubles. The Oromo people, the real lovers of Oromo culture, has to realize that the radicals whom are claiming to represent the Oromo community is not really representing the Oromo ethos. They are not really expressing the Oromo ethos. They are trying to make use of the Oromo ethnic group and Oromo identity. So kindly get back to the real understanding of Oromo culture, the real ethos of Oromo culture, which survived together with the other cultures in Ethiopia for the last many centuries. And that peace which you have acquired, your forefathers and your ancestors have acquired and kept in Ethiopia as a nation, has to be respected. So kindly understand the real problem and understand the real problem makers, and make them expelled and make them neglected in the community. And the Oromo people are really peace lovers. The Oromo people are really holding a very sophisticated, very much refined ethos of their culture and of their ethnicity. Many of the Oromo people are really belonging to the Orthodox Church, and then they follow the Orthodox way of life, and some of the others are following the other ways of life and the other religions, and that's up to them. That's a freedom, and then that doesn't need to be challenged. But kindly don't label one church with one or few ethnicities. Ethiopian Orthodox Church is the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. It is crossing and it's standing beyond the boundaries of ethnicities, and it is expressing its nature as a national church, and it has to be understood as a common platform with federal nature, like the government of Ethiopia. It is also containing all ethnicities in Ethiopia, and it is also inclusive in its theological understandings, it is inclusive in its cultural expressions, it is inclusive in its spiritual, liturgical and pastoral activities. That is something which you have to realize, and then Oromo people has to be with the church, with the nation, to protect the rights of the people, protect the rights of the church, and protect the rights of the whole people whom are being victimized in this problematic situation and in the current turmoil.
How can the Orthodox world relate to these problems? How can they help Ethiopia?
While looking at the possible reactions of the Orthodox churches all over the world, we have to realize that the Orthodox churches are not supposed to think in a way that we have to safeguard the institutions of the Orthodox Church of Ethiopia alone. Of course, that's an important aspect of it. But at the same time, Orthodoxy has to be prevailed. Orthodoxy holds the very understanding of protecting the life of the people, to empower the humanity in all the regards possible. So, Orthodox churches collectively has to stand against any violence, any oppression, any injustice happening in this world. And it is clearly a case of injustice, sheer injustice, which is going on in Ethiopia, and it is clearly a case of misleading people, and that the Orthodox Christianity collectively has to oppose that, and Orthodox Christianity has to pray for prevalence of peace in the country, and Orthodox Christianity has to bring these issues into the attention of the governments of different nations in the world, and collectively has to respond positively towards these oppressed people. That means favorably towards this oppressed, victimized people, and to do whatever is needful and whatever is possible to protect them, to safeguard them from these problem makers whom are doing all these troubles in the name of Oromo ethnicity.
Further, how do you understand the involvement of Pan-Orthodox organization like that of Orthodoxy, Cognate-based society in the Ethiopian issues?
The Pan-Orthodox movements like Orthodoxy, Cognate page or OCP have a lot to do with this crisis, I think. The major problem which these people whom are the radicals of Oromo, whom are trying to worsen the situation in Ethiopia, are trying to do is to propagate wrong understandings and wrong messages to the whole world. And as I told earlier, they are misrepresenting the community, and they are spreading all the wrong impressions about what is happening in Ethiopia. So what you can do is that you have to, these organizations like OCP have to work seriously to collect the right information and to bring the news with the right perspective to the whole world. And especially you have to bring the attention of the whole of Orthodox world to this issue with clarity, and let the whole Orthodox world come together and the whole Christian world come together to respond seriously against this oppression, against this injustice. Let them rescue collectively the people whom are the victims, and the Orthodox Theological Church needs support, and then the whole Orthodox world has to be brought together by this Pan-Orthodox movements to favorably respond towards the victimized people, and to extend maximum support to Ethiopian Orthodox Theological Church and the nation of Ethiopia too. Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable time that you have spent with us for this chat section. We wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much.